See, it's a red thing on.
All right, class. So today we're picking up where we left off yesterday on the practice ACT. All right. So as I told you yesterday, the reason we're doing these practice ACT is to, one, build confidence on the information that is already in your brains. All right. So many of you have come to me and said that when you get to the last 15 questions of the ACT, you think that it starts to get harder. So yesterday we started breaking down the questions, and today we're going to continue with that. So right now you all should have out the sheet that I gave you yesterday with the ACT questions. We're going to start with question 54. So, Jasmine, can you read question 54 to the class, please?
The radius of a right circular cone is doubled and its height is tripled to form a new right circular cone. What is the ratio of the volume of the original cone to the volume of the new cone?
All right, so let's break this problem down. All right, the first bit of information we would need is, okay, the volume of a cone, which they conveniently give us in the problem. So right here they say the volume of a cone is 1/3 r squared times height times pi. All right, the problem says the radius of a cone is, doubled, okay, and the height then gets tripled. All right, so there are two schools of thought for this problem, two ways you can do it. The first way, you can give it numbers. Okay, you can give the radius a number, you can give the height a number, and then double the number. Okay, the other way you can do it is keep it as r and h, radius and height, and then plug in what they said. All right, so we're going to start with that way. So they said, okay, and I'm going to write old V for old volume. Okay, that's just going to be this standard equation. New volume. New volume. Okay. Still will be 1/3. Still going to be pi. Now, what did they say happens to the radius? Autumn. It doubles. So instead of r, we should put what? 2r. Okay. What's happened to the height? Michael.
It's triple.
It tripled. So what should it be? 3h. Okay? Now, when we square 2r, what do we get? Jaren? 4r what? Yes, 4r squared. So, okay, if we go from this old volume, okay, to the new volume, right? What two numbers have we now introduced to the problem? Well, what two numbers are not there that are there that were not in the first one? Anna?
4 and 3.
4 and 3. Okay? So, regardless of the rest of, or the actual numbers, okay, we know that going from old volume to the new volume, we've introduced 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is what? 12. So the old volume would have a volume of one number, then this new volume will be that number times 12. Which answer choice is that, Tatiana?
G.
G. Okay, so for 54, that is G. All right, let's take a second. Look at the notes. I'll take any questions if anyone still is unclear. Rose.
So what we basically have to do is like a guess and check, kind of.
Kind of, but not the normal guess and check. So the normal guess and check, you would plug numbers, actual numbers in for R. Okay? That would have been a way to do it. It probably would take you a little bit more time. Okay? This way, what we did was, we took what they gave us in the problem and plugged it into the equation. And then solved the equation till we got to the pretty much lowest form. All right? And since all these are being multiplied, right? We looked at the two and said, what two numbers down here are not up here? 4 and 3. So up here it's just r squared. It's now 4r squared. Up here it's just h. It's now 3h. Okay? Since everything is being multiplied, we take the two numbers that are different, multiply them. That gives us our answer. Okay, so it's a modified guessing check. Because you're, well, not really guessing, it's checking. Because you're not guessing these numbers, it's given to you in a problem. If we were doing guessing check, we'd actually use a R or H. All right? Any other questions for 54? 55, can I get a volunteer to read that one? Diana.
Two integer values of x. Solve the equation x squared minus x. One of these is positive and the other is negative. Which of the following should be the value b?
All right, so this one is saying, okay? Jasmine, you want to take this one?
Okay. So what I did, I always use the lowest possible number, which is 1 and negative 1. I did negative 1 squared, which is just 1, minus a positive 1, which is 0, and I got the answer to be C.
Okay, so what she did was she actually did a guessing check. All right, now they do not tell you, okay? They do not tell you what are the two integer values. They just say there are two integer values. One is positive, the other is negative. Okay, so what she chose was negative 1 and 1. Okay, now when she plugged in 1, okay, because the value of x has to be the same. So when you plug in 1, 1 squared is what? 1. 1 minus 1 is?
0.
0. That's it. You don't need to do any more. All it asks you says which of the following could be the value of b. Once you have one of these as the value of b, you don't need to check the rest of them. Autumn.
Okay, so on the printout for the ACT, the math section, for 55 it had E.
Yeah, it says E. I had chosen C.
Yeah.
Gave me it wrong.
Okay, let me check on that.
Or either C is the right answer. So.
The big answer is the
That's
answer
okay.
we originally chose, is little.
No, it does have E, okay? So, it says that this could be 12.
That I originally chose C.
Okay, so I
figured
think
it
what
out.
the, so what we did is that both of them have to give you the same answer. Okay, so negative 1 and 1 doesn't work because when you put negative 1 in, what do you get for b?
Positive.
When you put negative 1 into that equation, you can tell me what you get for b.
You get 0.
Not for negative 1, you get that for 1. Danielle?
Is it like -2 or -1?
Lizelle? Is 1.
Right, minus 1, negative 1, you get another positive.
It's 2. Okay? Negative 1 squared is 1, but then it's saying minus negative 1. That's 2.
Because the minus and the negative numbers adding.
Okay? So, if we wanted to solve this, okay, for a positive and negative number, right? We know that because we have quadratics. How can we solve quadratics? What do we have to have, or what is the way for us to solve quadratics? Okay, that's one way. What's another way? That'd be a bit quicker. Factoring. Okay? Now, Also, does the problem say that the numbers have to be the same? No. Okay, so that's the other thing. I think you assume they had to be the same number. All right, so, okay, we can work backwards, but basically what this is saying is that we have x minus x equals b, okay? If we bring equals 0, we can solve our quadratic, or we can factor out our quadratic function to give us a positive and a negative answer, correct? Now, if we look at this right here, okay, and we know that if we plug in negative 24b, what happens to our equation? What does our equation become? If we plug in negative 20 for b, what does our equation become? What would it, Rose? Positive what? Because you're close to it. Oscar.
Positive 20.
Positive 20, so it would be x squared minus x plus 20, right? Now, if this number is now positive, that means can we have a negative and a positive number give us a positive number? So that knocks out the two negative numbers. Because it's the same thing for 1. If it's positive, then it only can be 1 and 1 or negative 1 and negative 1. Correct? All right. If this is 0, do we have a positive and negative number?
No.
No. So that knocks out 0. So now we're left with 9 and 12. Okay? If we have x squared minus x minus 9 equals 0, can we factor that out?
No.
Factor that out and tell me what you did. With the 9. So if b is 9, we have x squared minus x minus 9 equals 0. What are the only factors for 9?
3.
3. Okay? So there's no way for us to get a positive and a negative number, okay? And when we subtract them or add them, we get negative x. Because the only factors for 9 are 1, 9, 3, and 3. None of those, when you add them, you get a negative x. Which leaves us 12. What are the factors for 12? Danielle?
4 and 3.
4 and 3 are the ones where we could say, all right, we could have a negative 4, positive 3. That gives you minus x, and that would be minus 12. I really need to make something for these laptops.
Oh,
It doesn't fit on my laptop.
did it sleep? Just setting for the change. That's only
Alright, so when we plug in 12, we get x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. Alright, we then break it down to, or factor it out to x minus 4 times x plus 3. That satisfies this sentence. One is positive, one is negative, and it is still mathematically correct. Alright? So thank you, Alderman Oxford, for pointing out that our first answer was wrong. okay?